In the heart of Lagos in the late 1980s, when ambition still wore pressed trousers and shook hands with sincerity, two young men stood side by side beneath the iron gates of Faraday College, Nigeria's cradle of elite intellect. William Ube, son of a modest cocoa trader from Enugu, and Mama Danko, heir to Alhaji Danjo Danko's sprawling oil estates, had just graduated top of their class. They were inseparable, two lions of different dens, prowling toward success with shared dreams and divergent paths. While William spoke of building empires from scratch, Mama always spoke with the quiet confidence of one who had already inherited a kingdom. But life began its silent drift the moment Alhaji Danjo's connections secured Mama a spot at Atlantic University in the U.S. William, lacking the luxury of influence, stayed behind, his days filled with restless job hunts and restless prayers. By the mid-90s, Chief Mama Danko was no longer a boy. He was a man of the corridors. Nigeria knew his name. Hotels, real estate, airlines, a seat at the table of national politics. He married Laura, the daughter of a senator, in a wedding at Eco Hotel, where the president himself graced the stage, to William's open-mouthed disbelief. Still, the old friendship remained, if only in bits. Chief Mama never forgot his schoolmate. He offered William a place in Lynx Investments, gave him stock tips, connected him to an export business. And when William Ube launched Wheelie Conglomerate, it was with a seed loan, quiet but powerful, from Chief Mama. Yet envy has a taste, and William began to develop a tongue for it. Years passed. The wives of both men bore children just days apart. Danny William Danko was born in London, with a silver spoon. Mariam Ube was born in Enugu, with a cry that filled the family compound with hope. When Chief Mama came visiting the newborn in Nigeria, he chuckled as he carried the baby girl in his arms. "She's too beautiful, oh. Better give her to my Danny. Let's seal this friendship forever." William laughed, but the wheels in his head began to turn. He wanted more. He wanted power equal to Mama's. And perhaps this joke could be his way in. A few years later, a desperate William came calling. His company needed capital, a $100 million loan. When Chief Mama asked for collateral, William's tone grew solemn. "Let's make the joke real," he said. "Let my daughter marry your son. That's security enough, isn't it?" Chief Mama frowned. "William, that was banter. They're still children. We can't." "You said it, Mama. And I'm saying it now. Let's seal this. Legalize it. Draw up a clause, tie it to the loan." By the end of the week, lawyers were summoned, documents signed, and the betrothal clause was hidden deep in a stack of financial papers. To outsiders, it was just a routine business loan. But inside that paper was a quiet promise. Mariam Ube shall wed Danny Danko, or the loan will be repaid in full. Years passed. Wheelie Conglomerate bloomed. William Ube became a tycoon. His name was whispered in corporate boardrooms and ministerial corridors. But as his wealth rose, his humility crumbled. He mocked Chief Mama behind closed doors. "That one. He's finished. Sold off his hotels. I hear he retired and ran broke. Even his companies have new management now." What William didn't know was that Chief Mama had quietly handed everything to Danny, his Oxford-graduated son, who operated discreetly from the UK. The foreign arms, the oil licenses, even the Nigerian subsidiaries, all now under Danko Holdings UK. The old lion had not died. He had simply gone silent. One quiet Saturday, William sat in his palatial dining room, Mariam scrolling her phone, her long acrylic nails tapping the glass. His phone rang. It was Mama. "William, it's time. Danny is back in Nigeria. He wants to meet his bride." William laughed so hard he nearly dropped his glass of palm wine. "You want my daughter to marry a broke ex-tycoon's son?" "No, Mama. Times have changed." He ended the call, still laughing. What he didn't know was, Danny Danko had already arrived. That same morning, a black and yellow public taxi pulled into the Ube estate. Out stepped Danny Danko, plain t-shirt, Oxford accent, leather folder under arm. The gate men didn't recognize him, but the name Danko still held weight. He waited in the visitors' lounge until William Ube descended the marble staircase. "Who are you?" William barked. "I'm Danny Danko," he said calmly. "I've come to see my betrothed." Mariam, who had overheard the conversation, stormed into the room in a silk robe. "Wait, you? This is the foreign-trained son? This is who I'm supposed to marry." She laughed. "I can't even smell poverty from afar, and now it's in my living room." Danny looked at her, then at William. "The clause stands. If there's no marriage, the loan must be repaid, with interest. William's smile faded. I'll talk to the new owners of Link's Investments. Maybe they'll extend another. Just as tension filled the air, Mara, Miriam's younger sister, entered the room. She had heard everything. Daddy, you owe them everything. You mocked them, yet they built you. That's not right. William tried to wave her off. Stay out of this, Mara. You're just a child. But Mara stepped forward, her eyes fixed on Danny. If Miriam rejects him, I won't. I'll honor the clause. I'll marry him. A pin-drop silence. Miriam scoffed. Then go ahead. You love poverty so much, wear it like perfume. But Danny didn't laugh. He looked at Mara, long and soft. You don't know me. Why would you accept me? Because you're human. And because honor still means something in this house, at least to one of us. He smiled. Let's go for lunch. As they left the house, William collapsed onto the couch, sweat beading his forehead. The trap he had set long ago had finally snapped shut, and his own pride had pushed him into it. Miriam threw her phone across the room. She won't marry him. That marriage won't hold. But the story had already begun to write itself. And soon the whole city would be watching. It had been nearly a decade since Chief Mama Danko vanished from the public eye. The once mighty lion of Lagos, owner of hotels, banks, oil fields, and political favors, had sold off the public arms of Danko Holdings, retired quietly, and retreated to a private estate in Kogi State. To the public, and to William Yuba, the story was clear. He's finished, William would say with a smug grin. They sold the family empire to foreign buyers. The son, probably jobless in London. Indeed, the media echoed that view. Danko Holdings sold to consortium. Chief Mama Danko retires amid downsizing. Oxford grad son seen backpacking in Paris. William Yuba had no reason to doubt it. Back in his opulent mansion, William sat with an old brown file in hand. The one marked Danko Loan Agreement Private. It had sat untouched for over 20 years, its yellowed edges a testament to time. Flipping through the pages, he found it again. Clause 14b. In the event that the matrimonial agreement is not fulfilled within 24 years of signing, the full principal and interest shall become immediately repayable upon demand. He blinked. 24 years. The deadline was 42 days away. He chuckled to himself. Back at William's house, Miriam is found furious. Wait, this is the so-called betrothed? This poverty specimen. She laughed loudly. My God, the universe dodged a bullet on my behalf. But the clause, and who will enforce it? Danko Holdings? They don't even exist anymore. William responded. Mara, the quiet second daughter, confronted her father. Is it true? That we owe them? William hesitated. It was never meant to be enforced. Just paperwork. They lost everything. But they helped you, Mara whispered. And we mock them now? That's wrong. She stepped forward. If Miriam won't honor it, I will. Miriam exploded. You, the backup daughter? The charity case of this house. But Mara stood firm. At least I still believe in loyalty. A few days later, a shocking letter landed at Wheelie Conglomerate's headquarters. Confidential. Expression of interest to acquire 60% stake. From TIFF Holdings, UK. It caused panic. The firm was unknown. Investigations began, but the shell firm was layered in secrecy. William called his lawyer, Barrister Cole Ajayi. Can they enforce the clause if Danko Holdings was sold? Ajayi reviewed the file and shook his head. Sir, technically the clause is enforceable by any entity that owns the original debt. If they've bought back the rights. William interrupted. No way they did that. They're finished. Dead. Gone. As the storm brewed, Danny and Mara met again, this time at a modest bistro in Surulere. You don't have to do this, Danny said, stirring his tea. I came here for legal closure, not to pressure anyone. I'm not pressured, Mara replied. But I can't pretend we're not bound to each other by something more than paper. My family owes you. And I respect how you've carried yourself, even after the insult. Danny nodded slowly. They think we're here to settle a score. But maybe we're writing something new. Then came the day of reckoning. An emergency board meeting of Wheelie Conglomerate was called. Top investors, board members, and media correspondents filled the glass conference hall. William arrived in full Agbada, with Miriam in tow, her perfume leaving a wake. Let's get this over with, William said. They want to buy? Let them bid and bounce. Then the doors opened. Danny Danko walked in. Gasps erupted. Behind him, Chief Mama Danko himself, walking slowly but firmly, his signature red cap perched atop his head. "You." William choked. Danny dropped the final folder on the table. "We never sold Danko Holdings. We sold off the visible arms. But the dead instrument, this company, the loan? We bought it back. Quietly. Layer by layer. TIFF Holdings is us." Chief Mama stepped forward. "You thought the lion was dead, but we were simply waiting for your pride to eat itself." A stunned silence. Then the chairman of the board read aloud. "By the power of the shares purchased and debt recovered, we announce Danny Danko as executive director of Wheelie Conglomerate." William slumped into his seat, pale. Miriam stood frozen, her mascara streaking down her face. "That seat was meant for me," she yelled. "You were mine." Danny didn't look at her. Instead, he walked to Mara, standing quietly at the edge of the room. He took her hand. "It's yours now. Everything I am, everything I own. It belongs to the one who saw me when I was invisible." She nodded. That night, Legos buzzed. Gold-trimmed envelopes landed in the homes of politicians, CEOs, and society elites. The betrothal fulfilled. Wedding of Danny Danko and Mara Yuba. Venue, Federal Palace Hotel, Lagos. Date, to be remembered forever. And far away, in his study, Chief Mama Danko smiled at the headline. Lion's son reclaims throne and bride. By morning, it was everywhere. Front page. Twitter. WhatsApp groups. National television. Oxford graduate Danny Danko shocks Nigeria. Secures 60% of Wheelie Conglomerate. Yuba family outsmarted by old loan clause. Danko returns with new bride. Not the expected one. The picture was clear. Danny Danko, previously unknown to Nigerian society pages, was now the most sought-after bachelor and corporate prince. Mara Yuba, once the quiet daughter, was now engaged to the heir of a resurging empire. Miriam, the one originally betrothed, was now the former bride-to-be. Back at the Yuba mansion, silence reigned before the storm. Miriam sat stiffly at the breakfast table, her orange juice untouched. Her mother, Lady Mara, tried to hold composure. William paced. "He tricked us," Miriam hissed. "He made me look like a fool." "You did that yourself," Mara said softly, stepping into the room. Miriam jumped up. "Don't you dare act noble. You stole what was mine. You mocked him in public, spat on a deal that built this house, and still think you were owed his heart." Mara shot back. "This isn't just about love. It's about dignity. And you threw yours away." Their mother stood between them. "Enough. This house has never known such disgrace." William finally spoke. "The world is watching now. What's done is done. Let it rest." But it wouldn't rest. Not yet. In a quiet office in Ikoyi, Danny Danko sat before a crisis team. The headlines were hot, but so was the backlash. "You've embarrassed the Yubas," said Kemi, his PR lead. "There are whispers that you used the clause to force a marriage." Danny remained calm. "Then let the whispers rise. I'll drown them with truth." He picked up his phone and recorded a video, seated beside Mara. "Nigeria, I came not for revenge, but to reclaim what was taken through pride. I chose Mara not because she was offered, but because she stepped into a place of dishonor with dignity. She reminded me that legacy is not built on force, but on truth. And that's why I kneel beside her, not as a prince, but as a man." Within an hour, it went viral. Millions watched. Thousands commented. "This is the kind of man we need in politics." Mara is a queen. She saved her family's name. Miriam? Arrogance brought her down. While the world praised the betrothal, William Yuba gathered his closest political allies behind closed doors. "He's getting too powerful. I created Wheelie Conglomerate. Now the son of a retiree rules it." One whispered, "You underestimated the old lion. You should have never accepted that loan." "We still have political reach," another said. "You're chairing the Central Region Mayoral Committee. You'll appoint the next regional mayor. Use that." William's eyes gleamed. "Then so be it. Let's see how the prince handles politics." Meanwhile, Danny and Mara's relationship grew, quietly, sweetly. They visited orphanages together, walked markets without security, laughed in cafes where no one expected to see billionaires. But Danny remained watchful. "Do you regret it?" he asked one day. "Regret what?" "Choosing me. The attention. The pressure." "Danny," she said, holding his hand, "I regret only that I didn't speak up sooner. Before your name meant anything." He smiled. But deep down he feared. What if her loyalty is tested again? What if my rising power puts her in danger? 2 weeks before the wedding, a letter arrived at the Yuba household, this time with a presidential seal. By recommendation of the Board of Central Governance, the new mayor of Central Region is to be. William read it out loud in shock. Danny Danko? Impossible, Miriam shouted. He's not even part of the party. He's not local. Apparently he is, said Lady Mara, reading the fine print. His mother was from Okigwe. That qualifies him. And with his corporate footprint. Miriam's mouth hung open. He's taking everything. Our company. Our seat. Our fame. Mara, sitting in the corner, whispered. He never took anything. He just came back to collect what was his. That night, William called Danny to a private meeting at the lagoon front. I was wrong, he said after a long pause. I let pride bury a friendship. I laughed when I should have thanked you. Danny nodded slowly. I didn't come to destroy you, sir. I came because my father trusted you, and you broke that trust. William swallowed hard. Will you marry Mara, even if we object? That's up to Mara. But I love her, and I would marry her in a market square if it came to that. Miriam tried one last move. She waited outside Danny's home. When he emerged, she stepped into his path. I was foolish. I admit it. But I was scared. You have to understand. I never believed you were real. Danny stood still. You had your chance. You mocked me before you knew who I was. Mara honored me before she did. So you'll choose her over me? She asked, teary. Every time, he said, walking past her. The press had waited for it. And when it came, it broke the internet. Wedding of Danny Danko and Mara UBA. Venue, National Assembly Dome, Abuja. Reception, Danko Villa, Banana Island. Date, 3 weeks from now. Nigeria's most watched wedding. And in a private corner of the world, Chief Mama Danko poured himself a glass of red palm wine. It's not revenge, he said to his wife. It's restoration. With just 10 days to the most anticipated wedding in Nigeria, the streets of Lagos buzzed with excitement. Everywhere you turned, billboards, Instagram reels, morning radio shows, there was only one headline. From boardroom to altar, Danny Danko and the bride who changed the script. But inside the UBA mansion, joy was absent. Miriam paced the hallway like a woman haunted by ghosts. Her once perfect composure now melted into bitterness and plotting. She stole everything. My life. My man. My future. This wedding can't happen. William, meanwhile, sat quietly, a shadow of the titan he once was. He had lost his company, and now control over his own house. In a rare moment of confrontation, Miriam stormed into Mara's room. Do you even understand what you're doing? You were never the chosen one. Mara remained calm, folding her gelly slowly. I wasn't chosen by father. I was chosen by integrity. Danny was mine. Miriam snapped. He loved me. He just didn't know it yet. He saw you. Then he walked away. That was his answer. Then I'll take him back. Even if I have to ruin you to do it. She stormed out, eyes burning with resolve. That same night, Miriam called her old flame, Bode Banjo, son of a senator and infamous for scandal. They met at a rooftop lounge in Victoria Island. You still owe me for that mess at Transcorp, she said, sipping her cocktail. What do you want? One thing. Crash the wedding. Break them before they reach the altar. You serious? Dead serious. I want the wedding destroyed or stolen. Meanwhile, at Danko Villa, preparations were in full swing. Danny stood before a mirror, adjusting his igbada. Mara approached, laughing. You look like a king. And you look like the reason I fight for peace. Chief Mama Danko entered. You must understand, son, he said. This marriage is more than a union. It is a resurrection of honor, ours and theirs. I know, Baba. But Miriam, I feel she isn't done. Mama nodded grimly. Snakes bite hardest when cornered. 3 days before the wedding, chaos struck. The caterers canceled. The venue reservation was revoked under a forged document. A scandalous video appeared online claiming Mara was already pregnant for another man. The media went wild. Shocking revelation. Danny Danko marrying damaged bride? Wedding off. Danny immediately called Mara. I believe you. Don't even say a word. Mara cried softly. Why are they doing this to us? Because we're building what they lost. And they can't stand it. By morning, an anonymous whistleblower dropped a flash drive at the Danko gate. Inside, footage of Miriam meeting with Bode, paying him off. Danny watched in silence, then smiled coldly. So this is how she ends it. Chief Mama stormed into the Yuba residence the next evening. William stood, startled. Chief, please, let's talk. Your daughter tried to humiliate mine. Sabotaged the wedding. Paid thugs. Released lies. William was silent. Miriam tried to defend herself. He was mine. I was tricked. No, Mama said. You were blind. And now you are nothing. He dropped the wedding invitation on their table. You're no longer invited. The sun rose bright on the day Lagos stopped moving. The streets leading to Banana Island were blocked by convoys. Helicopters hovered. A-list guests glittered in gold and coral. Danny stood at the altar in a white agbada embroidered with blue threads of the Danko crest. Mara entered like a vision, her dress hand-woven with ancestral beads, her veil flowing like royalty. As she reached him, he whispered, "Are you sure?" She smiled. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." As the officiant began speaking, a commotion exploded outside. Miriam, in full red lace, tried to force her way in. "That's my seat. This was my wedding." Security held her back. "Miss, your name is not on the list." "He's mine. I deserve that place." Danny and Mara stood unmoved at the altar. "Ignore it," she said. Let her scream into the wind. And so the ceremony continued. "I, Danny, son of Mama Danko, take you Mara Yuba, not for convenience or business, but for peace. For healing. For honor. I, Mara, daughter of William Yuba, take you Danny Danko, not because I was chosen, but because I chose you." The crowd stood in tears. The officiant smiled. "What pride tore apart, love has restored. I now pronounce you husband and wife." Thunderous applause. Danny lifted her veil. A kiss. And across Nigeria, people rose and clapped from their screens. The sun rose gently over Banana Island, its rays bouncing off the marble floors of Danko Villa, now buzzing with whispers of joy. Every newspaper headline told the same story. The real bride. Mara wins the heart of Africa's most eligible bachelor. The clause fulfilled, 24 years later. Wedding of the decade ends in tears. For the wrong sister. Inside their private honeymoon suite, Danny and Mara sat quietly on the balcony, sipping tea, barefoot, newlywed, and quietly overwhelmed. "We did it," Mara said. Danny nodded, and the world watched. But deep in his chest, he knew the battle wasn't fully over. Miriam Yuba had not returned home since the wedding. She was last seen in a hotel lounge, ranting at a barman who politely refused to mix another cocktail. Her mother, Lady Mara, called repeatedly. No answer. Eventually she returned, unannounced, at 2 a.m., a shadow of herself. Mascara stained her cheeks. Her red dress was wrinkled, her eyes empty. "They all laughed at me," she mumbled to the housekeeper. "Even the cameraman. The bouncer said I was nobody. Can you believe that? Me nobody." She collapsed on the staircase, whispering to herself. The next day, William Yuba walked into her room. He sat at the foot of her bed, silent. She stared at the ceiling. "Do you regret the deal?" she asked. "No," he said softly. "I regret you. I raised a queen who thought being loud was strength. But your sister whispered, and the world listened." She turned away, tears falling. "So I'm nothing now? You were everything. But you lost at the moment you mocked humility." At the next Central Region Governance Summit, the new mayor, Danny Danko, took the stage, flanked by his wife, Mara, and his father, Chief Mama Danko. He spoke to the media. "We are not just inheriting positions. We are redefining them. This region will no longer be built on pride, bribery, or borrowed wealth. It will be led by people who remember where they came from." The crowd erupted. Even the press, longtime skeptics, gave standing applause. Backstage, Chief Mama smiled to himself. It took 24 years, but the boy became a king. In a private scene, Mara met with Lady Laura, her mother-in-law. The room was cold, heavy. "You weren't the bride we prepared for," she said. Mara smiled gently. "I know, but I was the bride he waited for." "Take care of him," Lady Laura whispered, turning away. "Better than we took care of each other." 1 month after the wedding, just when peace had settled, an anonymous legal complaint was filed at the Federal High Court. The petition? That Mara Yuba manipulated her way into a marriage for corporate gain. The source? Unnamed. But the lawyer handling the case was a familiar name. Barrister Cole Ajayi, former confidant of William Yuba. Danny was furious. "This stops now. We can't keep pretending this war isn't being fed from your house." Mara's heart broke. "You think I'm part of this?" "No," he said quickly. "But if your family keeps attacking mine, we can't build trust." Tension brewed. A court date was set. The courtroom was filled. Then came the unexpected twist. Chief Mama Danko himself arrived, walking slowly with a cane. He asked to speak before the judge. 24 years ago, I offered my son's hand as a symbol of peace. I gave a loan not just of money, but of trust. It was betrayed, but my son turned that betrayal into legacy. Today, he is accused by shadows. But I ask, can love birthed from honor be fake? Can a daughter who stood where her sister spat now be punished for rising? This marriage was not built by contracts. It was built by courage. The courtroom stood silent. Then the judge cleared the petition. Case dismissed. A week later, Miriam visited Danny and Mara's home. She stood awkwardly by the gate, holding a wrapped box. When Mara opened the door, she was stunned. Miriam, I came to apologize. She handed the box to Danny. Inside, a photo of their family from 20 years ago, at a birthday party where both families had once laughed freely. I forgot who we were, Miriam said. I lost myself chasing things that looked like gold but were clay. You can still find yourself, Mara whispered. They hugged, for the first time in years. The story of the betrothal clause became legend. Boardroom case studies, university lectures, a blockbuster film. But deeper still, it changed how a nation viewed pride, legacy, and the invisible threads of honor. At a private dinner weeks later, Danny and Mara sat quietly under the stars. Did we win? Mara asked. Danny took her hand. We didn't win, we survived. And surviving with love? That's better than winning.